Hey guys, welcome to Finally Clicked, the podcast where we discuss business, leadership, and personal development. My name is Margaret Smith, and I'm the Director of Operations for Pickett Street Properties, a real estate team out of Bothell, Washington. And I'll be here every week with our owner and team leader, Jesse D. Moore. We'll be digging into concepts and ideas that have helped us both personally and professionally, and you'll also get a chance to hear from local and national experts that we know provide massive value to get to the point where it all finally clicks. That's weird. I'm not a fan of the Pop Rocks.
Your face is making me uncomfortable.
It's making me uncomfortable too.
I've never said those words to you before.
No, right? No. We haven't pulled out our ASMR box in a while. Feels like an old friend.
It feels like an old friend. Your friends are wooden and small,
They are.
like Toy Story.
It's exactly like Woody. Oh, I like that movie. Shit. Okay. Wow.
Welcome. I'm joking. How it works.
Welcome.
I've been on vacation so long my voice box doesn't work. I meant to say, welcome, everyone, to Finally Clicked, a podcast hosted by Jesse D. Moore and Margaret McCauley Smith.
Ooh.
This is an ASMR and water episode,
We're going alcohol free.
alcohol-free. Mm-hmm. Because I consumed enough in Mexico.
What was your drink of choice there?
Well, probably the iceberg.
What's that?
An iceberg is a beer with margarita mix on top.
On top.
So it keeps the beer cold and then creates this like icy crust on top.
Oh my gosh.
It's pretty good.
That sounds good.
Yeah, learned about that while I was in the pool. So
Nice. Well, you brought the sunshine back with you. Just
I-
inside, not externally. We still have pouring rain here.
it's always nice when I can change the shade of my emojis. You know, my
Yes.
thumbs up is at least three shades darker.
I was going to say, it's at least
darker.
3 shades, yeah.
I actually get darker like days after coming back from vacation.
It really sets in.
Yeah, it's like my skin's hypercolor.
You know, Jessica and I are very jealous.
Takes time. I've had no less than 3 people tell me I'm oddly tan.
Oddly.
And I say thank you.
Thank you.
I spent good money to get this tan. It's weird being this tan and wearing a sweater.
It must feel like a bit of a contrast, yeah.
In Mexico, a lot of people called me Jefe, like boss.
Did they really?
Because I'm a bigger guy and I'm brown and I was super brown. So I look like El Jefe.
That's awesome.
It was pretty hilarious.
Well, everybody made quite a ruckus while you were gone. Jaggles was wheeling around in her chair the entire time, up and down the hallway, causing trouble, yelling your name.
So you guys were productive. It sounds
Very
like.
productive.
Good. But I'm back. I'm refreshed.
Back
I'm
and
relaxed. You know? It's just A good stress manager going on vacation.
I think we should talk about that today.
Stress management.
Yeah, how to handle stress.
I handled it by piecing out. Throwing up the deuce sign.
The deuce sign.
Flying to a different country.
Well, while you were gone, I interviewed Lee Papa, and she fully supported you she was like, yes, go him. I'm going to give him a shout out right now. Because she used to be in real estate. So she said, I'm impressed. Like, you have to take breaks. And that's one of the things that she had a really hard time with. So she fully supported you.
Well, it was perfect timing because we had a snowstorm.
We did. Yeah.
And the kids didn't go. There's no school. And when it snows here, it kind of puts business on a hold, too, because you don't want listing photos with snow in it.
No.
Because it dates the house.
Yeah. And most people don't leave their house, so they're not going out to see it.
Right. So it kind of puts business on hold as well. So it's a great time for us to slip away to Mexico when there's snow on the ground here. So I didn't feel like I lost out on any opportunities or business or anything in that time.
We kept churning away while you were gone. Booked some appointments, made a lot of calls, worked on the biz.
I came back, made a lot of calls, booked some appointments. Yeah, it was fun to come back and be like, it's funny because one day I just saw Amanda walking out of your office. I go, you want to race? She's like, what? I go, first one to book gets an appointment, wins. She's like, oh my God, yes.
She loves competition.
And
Loves it.
she won.
I was thoroughly impressed.
To be fair, she was going after the low-hanging fruit. She was going after new registrations in the last 2
Smart.
weeks.
Yeah.
One of my calls was a 6-year nurture. 6 years I've been calling this person.
Yeah.
Crazy, man.
Crazy.
But one day,
It's going to happen.
it's going to happen. Yeah. No, it was good. It was nice to come home and book appointments. So, stress management. Managing your stress. We talked about vacation. It's funny. I remember last year, when Sarah was here, we talked about vacation. And it helped her. She had given notice. Well, we had figured out her transition plan off the team to being a personal trainer. And after listening to our episode about vacation, she goes, oh, I just needed a vacation. Like,
She said that?
yeah, it's funny. She goes, oh, and she's not great about taking vacations or getting away.
No.
And so she was like, oh, this anxiety and stress that I'm feeling is more a symptom of not giving myself an opportunity to sharpen my axe, to rest and kind of de-stress. And that was funny.
I think it's hard. I talk about this with a lot of admin because as hard as it is for agents to step away, sometimes I feel like it's easier to cover them while they're gone. You're different because you're like the owner and the only person we have on the listing side. But when an admin takes a break, there's so many things that happen on the daily. There's so many details that, I never did transaction coordination. So for Sarah to leave, we had to have someone like our VA Maria who could cover her. And I could attempt to, but you saw me in there flailing when she was gone to Hawaii. I don't know what emails go where, and it would take me probably twice, if not 3 times as long to do her job. And when I was doing her job, I couldn't do my job. So, I think we put a lot of pressure on ourselves. And at the same time, we have to just be able to step away because if we don't take a break, we end up leaving jobs or leaving places that we actually weren't really meant to leave. We just needed a break from.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think Hallie Warner, who works for Adam Hergen Rother, said the same thing. She actually decided to leave his company about a year and a half ago. So she made this announcement. She left. And after a month, she tells the story about how she called Adam up again and she said, I am bored. Can I come back? And she realized she just needed a good long 4 weeks off. The girl probably hadn't had a vacation, not even just a week vacation in a couple, maybe a year and a half or 2. And to take 4 weeks off was exactly what she needed to figure out that, oh no, I'm in the right place. I just needed some breathing space. So I always think about that. just the fact that we all need to give ourselves a break.
We do. And I was in an environment where, I was drinking alcohol. But I feel like I was more purposeful. Well, I'm trying to say two things at the same time. What I'm trying to say is, because I went on vacation, when I came home, I didn't want to drink alcohol.
Yeah.
I'm pretty much a daily user of cannabis. And that is a way for me to manage stress and anxiety. And I really didn't feel the urge or desire to do it. So, like, a lot of my self-medicating methods fell off of me when I went on vacation. And you can see, look at my fingers. Like, you know what I'm like when I get stressed out?
Mm-hmm.
Like, I pick at my fingers. All my nails would be short, bitten down to the nub, and then I'll pull on my cuticles and make my fingers bleed. Mm-hmm. It's real attractive. But no, my fingers are in perfect condition.
Yeah.
And so I came home and decided not to drink for a while for health reasons, and, I'm back from vacation. So it's nice when you go on vacation. I think you don't know how stressed you are until you go on vacation.
Yeah.
Fully. And then I also don't think you fully understand how you medicate that stress until you go on vacation. Mm-hmm. And some of that stuff falls away. So, yeah, it was good.
What are your go-to de-stressing methods right now when you're not on vacation?
I mean, usually I get home, have an edible, or have some cannabis, and then I'll pour a glass of wine. And
you need to be like alone for a little bit when you first get home, right? Or is that not the same anymore?
It doesn't happen quite the same. But for men, it is recommended, well, and for women too, but for men specifically, when the testosterone gets depleted, we feel cranky and annoyed and anxious. And so I used to be under the practice of like sitting down for 20 minutes when I got home, kind of quiet, in a quiet space by myself. And that would just allow your testosterone levels to kind of level out, increase back up. Mm-hmm. And then that makes everything easier, like more patient and more kind to everybody. I think that drive home, it takes me about 25 minutes to get home. Mm-hmm. And I'm not stressed out. I like driving.
Yeah.
And
it's time to kind of de-escalate after the day. Yeah.
It's funny because when I get home, it's not really about me. It's a little bit about me, but it's mostly the kids, talking about whatever. And they're in full conversation mode and full activity mode and doing whatever they're doing. And so sometimes if I come home and I don't feel relaxed, that can be
hard,
difficult to manage. But yeah, see, I'm so relaxed. My voice is
so
calm.
Relaxed, yeah.
I feel like I could lead a meditation.
ASMR episode here.
Yeah. What else? Physical activity is a great way to de-stress. Why are you laughing?
I'm just laughing.
Yeah, so I mean, I worked out this morning after a little break for vacation, and up early, out the door, got my workout in. I'm super unstressed right now. So it's nice. It's nice to rock around right on time. It's tricky though. It's tricky. What about you, Margaret? How do you de-stress after work?
After work specifically.
Huh?
The number one way I probably do is by having some alone time. So if it's that combined with hot yoga, sometimes if my self-discipline or my, what do they say? Not motivation, but my willpower. If my willpower is depleted, I will sometimes skip hot yoga because the idea of being in a hot room after a hard day kind of makes me want to throw something at somebody. But if I force myself to go as I'm sitting in there sweating my balls off, if I had balls, you can't help but like surrender to where you're at in the moment. So that's sometimes a good way to force myself into a different mindset. As crazy as it sounds, I don't know if this is just a girl thing, but shopping, like even if I'm just window shopping, I know sometimes going to the mall sounds like the worst thing in the world to you, but
it is.
For some reason,
always, 100%.
It's like really soothing to me to be there amongst all these people that I don't know and to look at pretty things.
You're stressing me out just talking about it.
Something I did like 2 weeks ago, I went to the mall, looked around, got a coffee, and then I went and saw a movie by myself. And I love that. That is like stepping into another world. That's the only time I ever watch TV or like see a movie is if I really need to check out and think about somebody else's life. That's the only time I get out of my head, really.
What movie did you see?
This one was Pretty Women. No,
Little Women.
Little Women. Little Women.
Pretty Women.
Pretty Women.
The sequel to Pretty Woman is Pretty Women. It's a reboot and a sequel,
Right.
really. And so these girls are out in the prairie,
Right. Yeah.
and they decide to become entrepreneurs. Is that what the story is?
Totally, completely. Yeah.
Yeah, movies used to do that for me also, and they still do, because I just want to shut my brain off.
Yeah.
And if I can be in an environment where I'm not thinking about work or
Yeah. Well, and I don't know if it's the what do you call it? What happens when you become an entrepreneur? You work around entrepreneurs in a small business. But I am constantly thinking of ideas now. So like if I'm not doing something, my brain's like, ooh, this. Oh, you could do this, and this. So yeah, movies is like one of the only ways I can really check out.
It's funny, at the end of my vacation, I started having dreams about work.
What did you dream?
I feel like it was a reboot, like literally.
Maybe it was.
No,
Yeah.
really, like I didn't think about work for the first few days, and I didn't worry about stuff. But on the last night, like the last sleep I had there, I had very vivid dreams about work and what I needed to do when I got back, and transactionally and for the business. And I woke up kind of excited, not like...
Getting caught up on some sleep.
Not like upset or anything.
Huh.
Yeah.
Anything crazy happened in the dream?
It was, well, we probably can't talk about this yet, but I have a file that had a difficult negotiation in it. And I think my brain was trying to unravel it.
And figure it out.
And it was funny because Jill and I want to say we were in the airport on the way back. And I told her about the difficult negotiation. And I was like, sat there for a minute. And I was like, oh, I just figured it out. She goes, what? I go, I just figured it out. I just figured out how to do it. And she's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. Like, I love that spark of...
Yeah. Something clicks and you're just like, oh, that's what I'm supposed to do. Yeah.
And I came back and I employed it and it worked marvelously. Like, unbelievably well.
Boom.
Yeah. You know, let me ask you this. How do you toot your own horn when, you know, no, like this thing that I accomplished, it's a big deal. And if I were to describe it, I would have to describe it in a lot of detail for people to understand.
To get it. Yeah.
How do we maximize that? Because, you know, I'm not good about tooting my own horn. I'm a reformed narcissist. So that means that I've never been great about tooting my own horn. I've always surrounded myself with advocates who could,
speak for you.
Speak for me.
Well, I think there's ways to do it in which you can speak about things that you've done without it being ego-filled. I think number one, that's what I've learned is like a lot of people are not. Even Matt Kelderman is an agent down in Texas, and he took over my Instagram the other day. And one of the things he said was, "It's never been easy for me to talk about my success. It feels wrong, but I can talk about my failure all day long." And I think that's partially as we're learning as we get older, we don't want to be ego-driven. We don't want to be narcissistic. And at the same time, we got to celebrate things. So I think with this in particular, one of the ways that you do this is by sharing the story with us, whether it be on the podcast or just with the team, because once we know the story, we can also help share it. And I also personally think, like I think I mentioned this to you yesterday, I'd like to write it down in a way where nobody's identified and we can use it as a way to market, because these are the kind of things that differentiate our team and you between ourselves and other basic real estate agents. This is exactly like the most perfect example, which is what I try to, I told you the other day, I've had a conversation with a friend of mine who is looking to buy in the next 2 months and they're using someone else. And I'm like, hey, you should probably interview a couple people. And they said, that's a thing? And I said, yeah. You interview 2 to 3 agents to get a vibe, see what you like about them, see what their knowledge base is like. And then you pick someone based on how well they do their job. You don't just go with someone to go with someone. So I love this story about this particular negotiation because I love learning about negotiation from you and how your brain works because it helps me in the future. So I think we find a way to take the names and faces out of it and use it. And then you continue to tell this story in your classes and to the team, and people will continue to share it, like you said. Because, I think we have to, at some point, you have to not be afraid to stand up and say what you did and what you did really well. And so I've learned that when I do that and I do it with a sincere heart, it does not come across as bragging. And people have told me that, like...
Well, these clients were considering using Redfin.
This is such
which
a great
is a
example.
Discount broker. The discount broker would have listed it for 1% plus the selling office commission, so it would have been 4% probably. And I had to use every script in the book to get the listing.
Convert it, yeah.
And then yesterday I'm talking to them on the phone after the negotiation is settled, and they had said, "Man, you really see the difference, like between a discount broker and a true us. Professional like you." And I was like, yeah, see, that's what I need to plus up big time, is their type of...
Their story and their example.
Their example.
Yeah, because the difference between Redfin and us is huge. The service that we offer and the education and knowledge.
So
yeah, for me, movies, I talk about meditation a lot. I feel people know that. I don't think it's hard to describe how much that's changed me because I've always been a pretty mellow person.
Yeah, but you were you used to be a lot moodier.
Well, there's a lot of things that have changed that have affected that too.
And I wouldn't have described you as a moody person per se, but you're much more consistent now.
Well, I can say I was talking to people this morning on Instagram. I've talked to a lot of people on there. And just like most humans, I used to look for a lot of external signs and not necessarily validation, but I guess I could say validation that people heard me, that people cared, that people were passionate about what they were doing, that people were invested as much as I was. And that can make you really unhappy. And so I think I was really struggling to find inner peace and not rely so much on other people outside of me to bring me peace. And so meditation forces you to look in, and it forces you to actually listen to yourself. And I realized I'm so happy with myself. If I just think about myself and just spend time with myself and reflect on what I think and what I believe, I'm really happy. So now I can just kind of live in that happiness, and it doesn't matter actually what happens to the people around me. I mean, it does because I care about them, but ultimately I bring myself peace. And that's, I think, what's changed.
And I know I've talked about this before, but that's another thing I love about travel is
perspective. Yeah.
It's so easy to get down on, yourself or whatever, or your situation, or things aren't as good as they used to be, whatever the case is. And then I go to Mexico, and I was in Cancun, which is a beautiful, unbelievably beautiful tropical area, but it's abject poverty if you get off the resort.
Yeah.
Like, we went to the Isle of Mujeres, which is an island about half-hour water taxi, a boat ride from Cancun. And we did a lap in a golf cart, and it's like an hour, to do the whole island. And you stop and go to a restaurant or have a drink or whatever, go see sea turtles, or there's things to do. But, I'm driving through, it's kind of jarring to see like a $10 million house and then be across the street from a junkyard and a cemetery and a kid selling trinkets for coins, spare change, and it's not a kid playing and having its life. It's this kid who's being leveraged by adults to
make money,
pander to the tourists. And when you look at the disparity between the American dollar and pesos, I mean, it's like 18, well, it depends on where you go, but 16 to 18 pesos make up $1. Is that right? Yeah. So, like for them, getting $1, $2 tip is a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a lot of money.
Yeah.
And so it's like, man, my problem's pale in comparison, when I get out there and I see that how fortunate I am to be born when I was born. One of my former coaches sent an article out on luck, and I just have thought more and more about this. Has been on my mind a lot recently, how lucky I've been in my life, and how if I look back on prior successes, how much luck was a factor that I didn't give credence to.
Interesting.
That I thought my success was determined by my hard work and my hustle and my brilliance and whatever the case may be. When in reality, I just caught the right wave sometimes. I got lucky. I was in the right spot at the right time. I caught the right wave, and I was able to ride it through to now, And I took a lot of credit for things that were, not mine to take credit for, probably, in hindsight. Where, like, to give people, like, some context, I think if you were some people, the housing recession of 2007 to 2011, let's say, if you're a real estate agent for 20 years prior to that, it would probably be terrible because it's so hard for that period of time. I was on the front end of my career, and so I was learning real estate, and then the distressed properties gave me something to research, gave me something to know, and then gave me variety in my business.
Yeah.
Right? And
gave you an advantage.
Right.
Totally.
And if we hadn't gone through that recession, we wouldn't have done hundreds of transactions.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so I just, more and more, I realize how much luck is a factor. And this article is talking about how even when you're born,
Yeah, the fact that you're born.
Well,
is
not
luck.
But no, when you're born. Like when I'm born in January.
Oh,
so
timing.
I have more advantages to me in a lot of ways than someone born in September.
Why?
Well, it talks about school and the ages
yeah.
and where you are.
Oh, yeah.
In the development for your grade and everything else.
That's true. My mom didn't put me in kindergarten until I was 6. Turned 6 in June, and then I started. So I was older.
And I was thinking about I get to have a talk with my daughter this weekend.
About
because
what?
the semester is about to finish and her report card is not the best.
Oh.
In a few areas, which is not like her.
Yeah.
And
is it all about TikToking?
It's probably a factor. But I want to say, hey, what do you think these grades are an indication of? You know,
That's a great question.
and see what
And she'll
her
tell
response
you.
is.
She's honest as hell.
But if she says intellect or smartness, I'm gonna correct her and say no. It's an
I hope she
indication
doesn't
of
say that.
it's an indication of effort. This grade is an indication of effort.
Sure, yeah.
And this is telling us how hard you tried.
Mm-hmm.
And so if you get a D in a class, it's telling us you're not trying very hard.
Yeah.
And so it's more going to be a conversation of effort than achievement.
Yeah.
And or smartness or intellect.
Yeah.
I think a lot of parents, my experience has been that people use it as a sign of intellect.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's just no way you can anymore do that.
No.
We have when my mom was working in the schools, she had so many parents call the main office, and she was the head office manager. She was not a teacher or a counselor or anybody who had access to change grades. And yet the parents that called her asking and trying to persuade her to change their kid's grade from a B to an A+ was astonishing. The parents cared more about the kids getting into college than the kid even did.
Right.
It was ugly. Huh.
Well, that makes me think about a lot of things we didn't know before. Mm-hmm. Like, I used to have a lot of shame for sleeping in.
Mm-hmm. Well, yeah, I mean, your mom and dad were like, get up and work.
That comes with growing up on a ranch. Mm-hmm. You know, people get up early and they work.
Mm-hmm.
And
my mom had the same.
But now studies show that teenagers need more sleep.
Actually need sleep to build their brain and their body. Yeah.
Like a lot more sleep. Not a little, like a lot.
Yeah.
And if they're being sluggish and sleeping for a long time,
they're growing.
It's not because they tied one on last night, right? Like, it's because they're growing.
Yeah.
And so it's just so funny how many, and that's the other thing I'm dealing with a lot in my head is, I feel like there's so much mythology in my history in regards to growing up in a uber Christian home. Mm-hmm. And, you know, being an inquisitive boy and then having things explained to me in such a mythological way means that I have to go back and recodify those things, you know? Mm-hmm. I have to inspect and interpret those explanations and those events
determine if they're real
to me or not anymore. Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's complicated, and it's the hard work. I saw a meme recently that basically said, you know, if you're a victim of trauma, it's not your fault, but it's your responsibility to fix it. Like, it's not there's no blame in being the victim, but it is your responsibility to address it. And anyway, I don't know why I thought of that. I just did. Are you watching The Bachelor? Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about The Bachelor just for a quick second, and I'm not all the way. I'm not caught up, but I know about Hannah B. And I know about Champagne Gate. But there's actually a different element I wanted to talk to you about.
Okay.
And I have to look and see.
I don't watch it every season, but when my friend Jen lived in the area, we used to watch it together. And so the last 2 years, I think I've watched it, and it just makes me laugh. It's the one show that I watch, and it helps me like check out. It's so scripted, it kills me.
I'm trying to find her.
I have one other friend that's watching it right now too, so we'll Marco Polo back and forth as we're watching it with just like, oh my gosh, did you see her do that? And she is totally a plant. This is not real life. Okay. She's not actually doing that.
Okay, first off, this girl has the worst hair ever.
Oh, she's so pretty.
For anyone.
They're all so pretty.
Cheyenne, but it's Shiann.
Yeah.
It's like she's trying to go for like Michelle Obama's hair. And I know I'm a dude and I'm not supposed to talk about an African American woman's hair, but I don't know what is on her head. Okay, who I want to talk about is Victoria.
Victoria.
Right here.
Oh, yes.
All right, so it's funny because Jill watched the the second episode without me, which is fine. Yeah, I might prefer it because it's 3 hours long, and I watched it in half an hour. It was amazing. I just fast forward it, and I stop on the parts I care about. So Victoria is a beautiful brunette, and in the second episode, they have a fashion show.
Oh, yes.
Right? And she's like kind of freaking out, more than kind of freaking out. She's super freaking out.
Yeah.
And she's freaking out because I have my opinion, so I guess this is, are you familiar with this episode? Did you watch it?
I remember that part very clearly.
Okay, what are your thoughts on her?
Well, from the previews leading up to the episode, they make it look like she's going to leave. And so I was really curious to see what was happening. My thoughts on the whole fashion show was, man, they're under a lot of pressure to perform. Like Peter's the guy and they're wanting to like catch his attention. And so I think part of the show that can drive someone nuts if you're in it, I imagine, is that it's a competition. Like it's you against 20 other women. You got to look sexy. You got to look fun. You got to look cute. It's cool if you're quiet, but you should also be loud and you should like totally kiss him when you're walking back down, the catwalk.
Assertive.
And so this girl, what I like about her, I don't know if she's real or not, or if this is really truly her, but what I like assume anyways, based on what she's shared, is that she is not naturally someone who sticks out in a crowd or like will do anything to stick out in a crowd, like be loud. And though...
That's BS, by the way.
Is it?
She's strikingly beautiful.
Oh, she's gorgeous. Yeah.
You're telling me she doesn't stick out in a crowd?
Well, no, I know she naturally sticks out in a crowd, but she will not do anything physical to like throw herself out there.
But she's not even giving herself credit for naturally sticking out in a crowd.
So what came out in this episode to me is her self-confidence is really, really low.
So when Jill came home, she was curious. She didn't know if I'd love her or hate her. And that's how I run, everybody. Okay.
Love or hate, one or the other, black and white.
I do. I want to have an opinion on everything. And I can't help it. It's just who I am. And I love her.
Yeah.
And the reason why I love her is I actually don't think it's a lack of confidence so much as I think she's an introvert. And so she's beautiful. This girl is, all these women, for the most part, are beautiful.
Yeah.
Now, some of them have crazy eyes, and that puts them in a different category.
Yeah.
But Victoria's a beautiful woman, and she's supposed to do a fashion show.
Yeah.
And she gets high anxiety about this. And it's because I feel like, feel like they paint it as a lack of confidence or being insecure. I didn't get that feeling. I actually more got the feeling that this is someone who's not comfortable in the spotlight, not because she's insecure, but because she's introverted. And so she wasn't comfortable with the contest. Now, she knows what she's doing. She's in a contest. She volunteered for this. She's got to pull herself up by the bootstraps and do it. And she kills it. She kills it. And so they do a day wear and then evening wear. And then they vote on 2 finalists.
Yeah.
And they vote on her. Because she's sassy and sexy, and she kills it. Yeah. And then Hannah Ann.
Yeah.
Hannah Ann.
Oh, what do you think about her?
Well, I'll get there. So Victoria kind of celebrates just making the finalist.
Yeah,
right?
And being noticed. Yeah.
Peter noticed her.
Yeah.
And she kind of loses it, like breaks down a little bit. And I get it, and I love that moment because for her, the competition wasn't the competition. The competition was with herself and pushing herself to being uncomfortable to get the result she wanted, which is to get Peter to see her. Yeah. So I love that. I thought it was a heartwarming story. And then they have to compete. She has to compete against Hannah A. And Hannah A is a model, like, by trade. Yeah. Like, she's done this for real. Yeah. And if she's she's competitive AF. Yeah. And so they both wear the same outfit, and I thought this was funny. I can't believe they sent them down the catwalk together. I know. But then Hannah whips that. She's whipping her dress around like it's a bullwhip. Yeah. You know? And totally overshadows Victoria. Yeah. Victoria didn't do much to stand out because she'd already done what she came to do. Yeah. Yeah. And
The Bachelor, like audioed by you or whatever, like
Oh, right.
it would be
you know
hysterical.
What? So do you know who Leslie Jones is? She's the
I know the name.
She's a black comedian that used to be on Saturday Night Live.
Okay.
Really gregarious, loud, like tall, and she's kills me. She's not on this season, but her Twitter or her Instagram is the best.
Yeah.
You should follow Leslie Jones on Instagram.
Okay.
I started following her because she would live tweet Game of Thrones, and it was like, it's like if a black woman did Mystery Science Theater 3000, which is a genius idea. But she basically is catcalling the video as a black woman.
Gosh.
How there's that stereotype, black women in a movie theater, like they talk through the movie and they have all these comments and like, oh girl, like don't go in there. And anyway, Leslie Jones, she also I started following her because she would live commentate Game of Thrones, and it would crack me up. Well, she also does Project Runway, and she does The Bachelor.
Oh,
and
too
so,
funny. Okay, I found her.
I have to go back and see what she has to say. But yeah, that idea that like she does this live commentary throughout The Bachelor.
Oh my god.
Because just like me, she has all these opinions on everything.
Yeah.
And so anyway, I just felt like I wanted to talk about it because I thought it was such a great example of introversion being mislabeled as insecurity.
Sure. Yeah, there's insecurity, and it gets mixed with introversion, and it also gets mixed with shyness. Like shyness is very different from introversion as well. And so, yeah, I mean, whoever the cameramen are on this show, man, they create 12 different stories. And so the real story of whatever it is, I'm super curious about. But I totally identify with Victoria, which is, I think, what they do a really good job at is they endear you to certain contestants. And I can identify with that, like wanting to be seen and never feeling seen, especially when it comes to dating and guys. So I'm curious to see how far she makes it.
Blonde Victoria.
Yeah, there's a couple Victorias.
Is that the one that had the champagne?
I think it might be, yeah. The
She's
champagne
the
girl.
worst.
Yeah.
She's the worst too. Tammy, don't like her.
Which one is she?
Tammy. She's the house flipper. She's a 24-year-old house flipper.
Oh, okay. I don't think I've seen her as much.
She couldn't open a cardboard box. I don't know how she flips homes.
Oh my god. This show is so hilarious to me.
Oh, and then this girl's all attitude. Natasha.
Yeah.
Black girl.
What would you do if I went on the show? I'm totally aged
You're
out of
too
it.
old.
I can't do it now.
You can't.
It's like 20 to 27 or something.
It's not even. 27's super old on
Yeah?
that show. Yeah, it's 20. It's like 18 to 25. And at 25, they're like, you're a little crusty.
Yeah.
Like,
Good God.
they're like, okay, boomering you off the show. No, I don't know. That show, it's so funny. I realize I never watched it before I met Jill. And then it's on for 3 hours at a time, so it's hard to miss because she's watching it. But it's funny to watch all these celebrities that watch it. And everyone's engaged. Everyone's invested in the craziness of this situation because these people are crazy. Like, not crazy. They're just like...
They're on high... They've put them in a place where there's high emotions are going.
But it is a really genius model for a show.
Totally.
Because in that... I'll tell you what's bugging me about the show right now. And it's not bugging me about the show. It's bugging me about this age group.
Yeah.
And it's too close. I remember doing this too. But when you're like 22 to 28, you're in this super emo phase where everything is super important.
Oh, incredibly
and
important.
matters
Yeah.
like so much. And you feel
You're
everything
developing your sense
so
of self.
much,
Yeah,
right? Like,
yeah.
and there's... And you're like, you're so not about the drama, but you are creating all the drama. And so I hate, what's another?
Does it just give you some bad memories or something? Or
I just can I think in the wisdom of my age, I can recognize someone being manipulative
Oh, yeah.
before they can.
Before they can realize it, yeah.
So when someone tells a sob story, I'm trying to remember. One of these girls told a sob story.
Oh, yeah. Some of them. There's a couple of them.
They're like, struggling to get the words out, and it's all an affect. It's like I couldn't eat dinner. I don't know what. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't have money for dinner, and so I just willed myself through it, and now I'm here, and I can't believe I'm here with you, and the whole thing.
Very dramatic, yeah.
It's so dramatic, and and you know what? I feel cheated, and I feel like if I'm Peter, and I've been the Peter, where I like, oh, it's okay, and I soothe and comfort them, and I feel like it's my job to like make sure they know they're okay, and not realizing, oh, they're doing this to like trap me. Right? They're like doing this to trap me, and Peter's falling for it, hook, line, and sinker, and he's like, you know.
Well, and then especially with this show, in the last, I mean, I don't know how many years it's been going now, people have so many reasons for being on the show that aren't actually for Peter. I mean, that's kind of the funniness behind it too, is that people bring their guitars, people are singers, people are house flippers,
They're
people
cows. They wear a cow suit. They wear a shark suit.
Everything. And even my roommate, one of his friends from college was in Big Brothers, so not Bachelor, but Big Brothers. And he went off and got offers to other reality TV shows after that. So it's like an avenue.
No, it is. Definitely. It's a springboard into reality.
So, I mean, if you're Peter, really, you should not expect to come out of this thing with a wife or like a girlfriend. Maybe you'll have a couple girlfriends, but like nothing serious.
Yeah.
I say that now, and then he falls deeply in love.
Who knows? I'm kind of upset that we're talking about The Bachelor, but it's my fault. I'll own it.
Yeah, I didn't do it.
Project Runway, do you watch that show?
Not anymore. I used to, back in the day.
It's on again.
Is it? I mean, I love fashion. I love clothes. I love color. I love design. So I loved that show when I watched it. I think I would have loved to have been in design if I'd done. We didn't really get to play around with that stuff in high school or college, so photography was more accessible.
Yeah, I definitely. There's this one guy, the one that was just voted off of Project Runway, and they were doing a little monologue about his life and everything. And he said, you know, he's talking about his parents who put him through college but at first he was like an art major, and then he went to culinary school. Eventually he landed in fashion. Like he was meant to create. He was meant to be an artist. He just couldn't find the right avenue. And I feel the same way. Like I feel like I like to cook and I like to create dishes.
Well, I think when you realize that, I just had this realization the other day again, where I'm kind of figuring out like what makes me happy. Still figuring. I mean, maybe it'll be a full long journey throughout my life. But I realized if I'm not creating something, doesn't matter what it is, personal, professional, if I'm cooking or baking, or if I'm not creating something, I'm not happy for very long. And so I think that is the artist in us. I think we're here to create something. And it's just because that's like one of our purpose, I think. If you're an artist, if you're a singer, if you're any kind of an artist, I think that's part of your soul's mission.
Should they choose to accept it, your soul.
Yeah.
Random story. So in Mexico, last time we were there about a year ago, and the taxi driver, we always ask about the politics there.
Oh, really?
Well, because of drugs and, cartels are in South America, but they're in Mexico for sure, also. And the corruption in Mexico is terrible. So they were all excited about this new president who's going to take on the cartels, take on the corruption. And it's not going well. The new guy just folded like a cheap skirt. He's as corrupt as everybody.
Wow.
Nothing's changed. And it sounds eerily similar. And I'm not going to get political in our country, on this podcast. I like Bernie Sanders. I don't like Bernie Sanders. There's things I like, there's things I don't like. This president and his campaign sounded very much like Bernie Sanders in his campaign. And now I think they're totally different people. I'm not saying they're the same.
Yeah.
And it was funny because I said, "Oh, do you want to trade? Do you want to trade presidents? Because we have Donald Trump and you have this guy." And they go, "We would take Donald Trump in a second." Wow. These are Mexican nationals saying we would take Trump. Well, Trump said terrible things about them.
Yeah.
You know, like he's for many people that have family in the United States, Trump has made their lives worse.
Mm-hmm.
And the guy that I talked to, again, this is perspective, right? And this is in the ride from the airport to the resort. So I'm not even at the resort. I haven't had a chance to enjoy my trip yet. And my taxi driver basically said, I've resigned myself to not having a good life.
Wow.
Like if I stay in Mexico where I don't have an opportunity to leave.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm resigning myself to, this is not going to be a good life.
Man, when you talk about perspective and you think about how grateful you are for the things we have here, like what if that's not a wake up call? I don't know what is. There's not a day where I've woken up and said, I'm resigning myself to an awful life. I've never done that.
Right.
I've never had to do that. You and I have talked about leadership a lot, and especially this week. And so when you talk about the presidency of that, like of Mexico and of the U.S., the people that we see when they're vying for that role, are they always different from who they are when they actually take the role? And are they just saying what people want to hear? Are they just saying what? I think that's such an interesting topic, and I think I've been really ultra focused on it lately because I want to be a leader, and I want to be the leader that I am without the camera in front of my face, without the mic in front of my face. I'm going to be the same person.
Well, my answer to that would be, if you look, Obama was a community organizer before he became senator for like half a second before he became president, right? And Obama's didn't have a lot of money, and now they just bought a house in what's it called? Martha's Vineyard.
Martha's Vineyard, okay.
They just bought a house in Martha's Vineyard. What? What? Like, so my answer would be, I think everybody doesn't know, like everybody that campaigns for president, I think they all believe to some degree what they're saying. And I think they all don't think they're going to be the ones. They're not going to change. They're not going to, they're going to be the ones to fix everything. And then I think you get in there and you realize
how huge it is.
And how the wheels are already in motion and it's way bigger than you. And then you start to compromise on making as much change as you can in a system that doesn't facilitate change. So I look at Obama buying a house in Martha's Vineyard after he's president. Well, as president, he makes $400,000 a year or whatever, right? Like they didn't just write books and get all this money. He gets it from giant companies that pay him to speak after he's president, and it's a bribery game. It's a we'll take care of you if you take care of us thing. And no matter what you think about Obama, there's things he said he wouldn't do that he did, and there's things that he did that he said he wouldn't do. And so, like, hopefully you pick the guy that does mostly what he or she says they're going to do.
Yeah.
Right? And so Trump, I think he honestly believed that he was going to make some changes that were necessary. I think he's actually made a lot of changes. I don't know if some are good, a lot are bad. And he's not dealing with the corruption, though. Like, the corruption hasn't gone away. He's not draining the swamp. He made millionaires and billionaires richer. Like, so, I think Bernie is interesting from that standpoint because no matter what you think about him, he's been saying the same stuff for like 30 years. So, like, this is what he thinks.
Yeah.
And so if now he won't be able to do anything, you can do a lot by executive order. He can undo a lot of stuff that Trump did. But as far as like Bernie's initiatives that he wants to actually carry out, they'll never happen because they won't get through a Republican House and Senate. And even if, and then it'd be interesting to see beyond that. I think it's so funny how easy our lives are now. And that's another thought I have after coming home from Mexico. And I was watching Project Runway and all the nice things we have and the soft beds we have. And I think about how, and going back to luck, like you could have been born during the Great Depression, right? Different life. And the later you're born in the advent of technology and as we evolve as human beings, the easier life is going to be, right? Because we figure things out and we improve upon them to the point where Andrew Yang is running on this idea of a universal basic income, that essentially technology is going to make things too easy for us. That they're going, for instance, Tesla is designing self-driving semis, right? So you have semis that don't need truck drivers, and now you have an entire industry of logistics, of freight, that they're all displaced. All these truck drivers are displaced, like overnight. And that's millions. That's a lot of jobs.
Yeah.
And so he's saying that's just one example. And we're there. We're knocking on the door where auto driving cars are a reality, and it's going to displace taxi drivers and freight drivers and delivery drivers.
Yeah.
And so this universal basic income is going to be necessary soon because of the advance of technology, to the point where our lives are going to be so easy that the government's going to pay us to be a citizen. And then the other thing I think of all the time is the movie WALL-E?
Yeah.
By Pixar.
Yeah.
And it's funny to me when they get up to space and the humans are all living on the spaceship, and they're basically on a spaceship to be entertained like a cruise ship 24/7 because they don't have any responsibilities. Everyone's 500 pounds and watching whatever programs they want to watch, and because they have nothing to do because technology has basically replaced everything.
Yeah.
We're actually really close to this. And so it's so funny to me to think about this new generation of people that are making money, taking pictures of themselves. We were in Mexico, and I'm seeing selfie sticks. It was so funny. We would sit at breakfast, and we'd see people take 30 shots of themselves and then walk down the beach and look at their phone the whole time.
Yeah.
They're looking at their phone at the pictures they just took. They're on a beach. They're on a sandy beach with the most crystal blue water you've ever seen.
Yeah.
It's 85 degrees out.
Yeah.
And they're looking at their phone. Like, it's insane.
Yeah. It's obsessive.
So that's how I tie in The Bachelor and luck and Instagram and
That's
WALL-E
good. I like
all
that.
at the same
That's
time
really good.
into a little package that says, "Oh, as I walk around, I'm realizing that luck has made me live in a time where not only time, but I was born into the right country at such a time where my life is easier than it was for my grandparents, and my grandkids' life will be easier than mine is, more than likely, if we don't kill the planet in the meantime." So
It's a lot of processing.
it's a lot of thinking.
Yeah.
I'm gonna take a water break.
Oh, good water break.
Goodness, we didn't ASMR transition. We just transitioned
We just transitioned a lot.
It's like an automatic transmission.
Yeah.
We didn't need a clutch.
Not at all.
I'm clutching it right now.
I wish I'd brought my whiskey in.
Oh, you do? Are you falling asleep?
Well, I could just use something to sip on.
Do you want a sip of water?
Sure. Maybe not now. Try. Oh, that's tasty. I forgot how good those are.
I only drink tasty things.
Yum. Yummy.
Yummy. Speaking of yummy, have you heard that Justin Bieber song?
No.
It's called Yummy.
Cut it out.
It's the worst song ever written.
Oh, no.
It's not true, actually. It's the second worst song ever written. The worst song ever written is Fireball by Pitbull. The second worst song ever written is Yummy by Justin Bieber.
What is it about? A girl?
It's terrible. Yes, it's about a
I'll
girl.
have to check it out.
And it's just the worst written song. It just says Yummy a whole bunch of times. It's not complex. It's not unique. It's not original.
Sad.
And there's some drama because he's like advocating to his fans to like make a playlist where Yummy just replays the whole time so that he gets all these streams.
Oh, jeez.
But it's a terrible, terrible song.
Well, tell me what your go-to song is right now, or music, or artist.
Well,
so we can
Eminem,
recover from that.
Eminem dropped a new album last Friday,
yeah.
unexpectedly, which I kind of love the title. It's called Music to Be Murdered By, which is very different from his other titles. Like he's done, everything's kind of been a one-word title for him. Relapse, recovery, and it's about, it's indicative. It's symbolism for his music and real life, right? Like he was in rehab. I think one's called Rehab. He was in rehab and then he was in recovery. And these albums act as landmarks for Eminem's life. And so this seems like a departure. Music to Be Murdered By. So I listened to that. Mac Miller, who passed away last year, has a posthumous album that just came out on Friday. That's exceptional. I've listened to it. It's very, very good.
Okay.
Jill's looking forward to Kesha's new album, which comes out, I think maybe it came out today. Let me look. What about you? What are you listening to?
Right now, a lot of Maggie Rogers, which I didn't know her very well. I found her through one of my friends on Instagram, actually. And I think she was just voted something about new artist. I forget what it was. I saw something on Spotify about her, but I really like her.
Kaleo has a couple new songs out that are really good.
Kaleo?
Or Kaleo, depending on how you pronounce it.
Yeah, I think Maggie Rogers has been my go-to for like the last week.
Oh, and then Chadwick Stokes and the Pintos.
Oh.
I like that album a lot. In fact, they were playing a concert in Seattle while I was gone. I missed them.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
How's your stress management lately?
how's my stress management? It hasn't been great this last week, actually. I mean, I've been doing more yoga, which is great. I think I've gone 3 times in the last 7 days, which is good because I'm trying to train myself to get back into that. But yeah, I don't know. I've just been feeling impatient, which then leads to overwhelm. So I'm trying to figure that out.
How do you deal with the impatience?
How do I deal with it? The best way that I've discovered so far is to distract myself with other topics. Either, staying in my routine, so meditating every morning, and then taking baby steps every day. So I'm really impatient for a lot of things to come to fruition because I feel like they're happening and I want them to happen now. It happens every once in a while. I get into a point where I think either I haven't spent enough time reflecting or I haven't taken a break. It's been too long since a break. And so then things compound on top of each other. And so I have to take a step back and reframe. Reframing's a good one.
So do you think I can change my impatience?
Think you can change your impatience?
Do you think I can modify it?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, I think you have modified it.
Okay. Do you think I can modify it more?
Yeah.
Do you think I can modify it to the point that I'm not impatient at all?
No. That'll always be like a natural part of you. And actually, though, what I'd be curious to find out is if we plucked you out of Montana when you were under a year and put you somewhere else with different people, I'm curious if that same impatience would come out or if it'd be a very different kind. Because I think one of the number one things that happened to you, and there's so many things, but one of the things that I think really had effect on you the rest of your life up until now is the fact that you were on a horse by yourself for so many hours. I think that it's like what you were you talking about this earlier? Or you like so many hours kind of backloaded into you of like almost a type of insanity that you've been slowly releasing it. And I think it's like backlogged. So much time by yourself, way too much time alone, anger, frustration, resentment. I think you've been in the place of where you've been like releasing that. So I'm curious to see what the Jesse D. Moore would be of who was raised maybe in Seattle in a different kind of life.
You know, the number one reason why I'm not writing.
Why you're not what?
Writing.
Writing? Because you don't want to relive it?
No.
That's my guess. What is it?
My brain's so much faster than my pen.
Oh, yeah.
Or my computer or whatever. It's almost intolerable for me to sit there and
that's
be
become a
patient
problem
enough
for me now. Yeah.
to like put things down on paper or to write a story or to write anything. And I hope that a spark of creativity will come out of that, or I find a way to get it out anyway, or in a different way, a unique way. But it's so much work for me to sit there and write. Because my brain is on page 10 and I'm on page 1. And then to try to like slow down or...
You should have somebody transcribe for you. We can hire
and
someone.
Feed me grapes while I lay down. Sounds great. Let's do it. Make it happen.
No, I know what you mean though. It's actually one of the things I've struggled with now, which I'm actually also... I like to take action on things. So when things don't happen quickly, that I've realized that some of my impatience comes from that. But I don't love to journal... that's one of the reasons, because I'm like, I've got so much to say. I'm not going to sit here for an hour and write it all down. Like, as patient as I am, I'll type it, but even that's not super satisfying. So I've been doing like half a page of just really basic thoughts or whatever comes out every morning to try and get into the habit of it, because when something does flow out, it's typically pretty good. Like I think a lot of my writing comes out on social media, actually, when I write poems or stories.
Like, get this. This is how bad it is. I go on Instagram and I see, so I feel like short stories have gone away. I feel like books have become less and less. But on Instagram, people will write 2,000 words, 2,500 words on some thought they've had.
Yep.
And I'm like, I'm scrolling through this. And there's dashes and bullets and emojis and all this. Like even, and your posts are like this sometimes.
Yeah.
Where I even go, how did she write this? Because I'm so impatient I can't read it. For one, I certainly couldn't write it on your phone. Like, are you kidding me? With 2 thumbs, you wrote 2,500 words, and you synthesized thought into sentence structure and paragraphs. And then what's with all the dashes? Why are there 25 dashes between that and the Instagrams? Why is there 5 paragraphs and then there's 25 hard returns and then all the hashtags? What's that about? Somehow, do you think that their code is like, this is an important post that there's 25 hard returns?
No, so part of it is to break it up for the eyes, into paragraphs, and you can't do that in Instagram for some reason. When you hit return, it just clumps it all up into one paragraph. So you have to use something to break the paragraphs. And then people typically put the hashtags down at the very bottom because you don't really need to see those, or they put them in the first comment.
But we all see all of it.
It's become a new source of online journaling, I think, for people.
It's ridiculous. I'm like, am I supposed to read this
People do.
This self-help book you posted beneath your photo of your butt or whatever, wherever you're at?
Just to clarify, that was not me. Yeah. No, I know. People have taken it to a whole new level.
I'm going to look up your Instagram real quick and just tell people.
Well, you're telling a story.
What? New bit in our show is where I read an Instagram post from Margaret.
Oh, really? Oh, too funny.
The Admin Collective. First off, I love how you change your name like every 6 months. It's like,
Hey, I'm experimenting.
okay, the _Margaret_Smith. The title is The Admin Collective. Co-host finally clicked. Coach finally clicked. Coaching. Founder PNW Operations Retreat. Real estate. You have so many jobs. It says more. Like I have to click on a button to see more. Speaker. BU movement. And then you have a link tree for all the links that you can't put in there.
Yep.
Oh my gosh. All right. And then I'm going to click on a post. Every one of your posts has a more button on them because they're that long. There's one. Your shortest one is my walk.
Oh yeah, that's
Next
a very
time you're in
short one.
Seattle, check this place out. Hashtag Green Lake. Hashtag Seattle. Okay, but I got to get to one of your like anthology posts. Okay, here we go. Well, no, I don't want to do that.
No.
Oh, and then you do the big block things. Why do you do that? I hate that. Where
The
you know what
blocks
I
of
mean?
pictures?
Yes. Oh.
For the
Get
people
off
that
my
look at the feed.
page.
Some people just look at the feed. They don't look at the images.
It's like you're putting a billboard on Instagram. All right. You know, I know someone who does these posts all the time.
Yeah.
Can I think of her name?
Oh.
She's changed it a bunch. You know who I'm talking about?
Maybe.
Yes, I found it. Okay. So this girl, I can't even say because I don't want to out her.
No.
I'll just say her first name, Anna. I met him, and then crown emoji, king emoji, heart emoji, and then his username, and then a queen emoji, and I forgot the rest. When not digitally disrupting news feeds, we explore Earth. Earth emoji via something. Tree emoji. Join us. Pointy emoji. Finger emoji. Link tree, like you. Okay. And then I'm going to go to a post. Where she has some sort of diatribe.
It's a whole other world.
Okay. Please be it. Oh my God. Here we go. Found one. All right. So I'm just going to read. Okay. This is the wisdom that you can get off Instagram.
Yeah.
Off one of these self-help posts. This isn't even a good one, probably. But it's close. So let me just read it. Passion is but a prelude to years of gradual unfolding. What? Heart emoji.
I like that you show the emojis.
Some people mate for life. Perhaps their love affair starts with infatuation, passion, and eroticism. Eventually, it gives way to a more stable companionship. Not all couples pass this transition period intact, but those who do find a new mode of relating to one another. Devoted lovers find that minor faults can be accepted.
Wow.
At the same time, they find acceptance in spite of their own inherent shortcomings and insecurities. Mature love is patient. Mature love is selfless. Mature love is generous. Mature love is kind. The lover becomes more important than self. In love, we find transcendence and a unity that is unattainable alone. Individuals should know themselves well. If they are meant for love, they will know. Ultimately, the other is divine, and dignity dwells in the other.
Okay, this is a
What
little
is she
bit more
talking
than
about?
what I usually do.
Can you tell me what she means right here? Ultimately, the other is divine, and dignity dwells in the other. Are we talking about balls? Is there divinity in one of them and dignity in the other?
I think what we have here is someone who is just in love.
Individuals should know
Hardcore.
themselves well. If they are meant for love, they will know. And then she tags her boyfriend. And then kissy face emoji, heart emoji.
Face.
You mean the world, followed by the world emoji. To me. You mean the world to me. I have tried so many times to say it differently and keep coming back to, I love you. Truly, madly, deeply. And I am forever grateful our worlds collided in this brilliance called life. Hashtag thankful. Hashtag the one.
No, hashtag blessed.
If I read this from my girlfriend, I'd be like, oh, didn't take your meds today.
I actually think this is a great idea. We should do an Instagram reading every once in a while. Well, I think what you are talking about and what we're seeing here is everybody wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be seen and heard.
Oh,
and so
yeah,
Instagram
and not
is
everyone
a way
deserves
of that.
to be seen or heard, by the way.
Well,
okay, can I do one more?
Totally.
All right. Oh, Anna. I'm reading from Anna's Instagram. Oh, I can't. I don't want to read stuff that identifies me.
Yeah, no.
Only once in your life, I truly believe you find someone who can completely turn your world around.
Oh.
You tell them things that you've never shared with another soul, and they absorb everything you say and actually want to hear more. The things that seem... I love that. What that tells me, that line. You tell them things that you've never shared with another soul. That means they checked... They did a litmus test, and they started with, like, easy shit, and then they tried to ramp it up, and everyone else bailed before they got to the really dark stuff. You tell them things that you've never shared with another soul, and they absorb everything you say and actually want to hear more. The things that seem insignificant to most people, such as a letter emoji, song, or a walk, become invaluable treasures kept safe in your heart emoji to cherish forever. Memories of your childhood come back and are so clear and vivid, it's like being young again. Colors seem brighter and more brilliant. Laughter seems part of daily life. Things that never interested you before become fascinating because you know they are important to this person who is so special to you. You think of this person on every occasion and in everything you do. You find strength in knowing you have a true friend and possibly a soulmate who will remain loyal to the end. Life seems completely different, exciting, and worthwhile. Your only hope and security is in knowing that they are a part of your life. Simple things bring them to mind like a pale blue sky, gentle wind, or even a storm cloud on the horizon. I'm sorry.
This person's very...
You're mixing metaphors here. You're going from simple things bring them to mind like a pale blue sky. And then you're like, oops, there's a cloud.
There is a lot of emotion going on here.
This pale blue sky makes me think of my lover, Peter. Oh, there's a cloud. Oh, that reminds me of Peter also. I see Peter everywhere. I see Peter in the air that I breathe, the hair that I brush.
Is this what you do when you scroll through Instagram?
Oh my gosh.
This person's got a lot of emotion to let out.
You open your heart, knowing that there's a chance it may be broken one day. And in opening your heart, you experience a love and joy that you never dreamed possible. Being deeply loved by someone gives you strength, while loving someone deeply gives you courage.
What?
Hashtag love quotes. Hashtag Instagood. Hashtag web e-camping.
Oh.
And then tag. Are you kidding me? Yes.
Instagram readings with Jesse. Insta Corner. You know, people got things they got to get off their chest.
She also likes to do the block thing, pictures that you do.
Well, you have about 8 seconds to entertain someone when they come to your profile. And that's when they'll make the decision on whether or not to follow you. So sometimes you got to catch their attention with a little bit of a block. Boom.
You know what that says? Is you made people look at 12 ratchety posts.
Do you actually spend time looking at posts anymore?
I only look at my feed. I don't go to your post and look at all your pictures and
Do you go to stories?
Look, a picture block.
I only go to stories now, really.
Up top?
Yeah, I don't hardly go through the posts. I found actually.
No, I go through the posts.
Okay.
First and foremost, because I like the photos. That's why Instagram's here. The stories are good-ish. I can't curate it as well as I'd like to, probably.
You'd like to be able to?
I can ignore with my eyes, like, a post I don't want to see.
Yeah.
And move past it.
Yeah.
But they may have posted 20 times on a story.
Yeah.
And then I have to flip it, right? And then I can do that.
Next time I do one of those blocks, all I'm going to put in the text is, "Hi, Jesse."
Yeah.
I know what you mean, though. I remember when you've always been an early adopter, so you were on Instagram a lot more than me for quite a while. And now I officially like it more than Facebook.
Facebook is awful.
I still love Facebook for the connections and the networking that I do on there. But Instagram's fun for getting in.
I would say this right now.
What?
If I didn't have a business, I would not be on Facebook.
Really?
I hate it more than I hate any other social media. And I find that there's very little redeeming about it. It's nice to be able to connect with people. Like when I traveled, I connected. Like it's easy to find people on Facebook and connect with them. But it's a bunch of hogwash. People.
Maybe you're just not following the right people.
I'm pretty sure I'm not. And I'm pretty sure that there are no right people to follow.
I enjoy the people that I follow on Facebook.
Well,
I don't know.
That's your blessing, Margaret. Okay? It's not mine.
Sorry.
My curse is to look at all these and hyper judge everybody.
You know what I haven't done before is you can go through and unfollow people. You can still be friends with them, but unfollow their content. I've gotten a little bit more.
What is the point of that?
Well, I mean, maybe I want to stay friends with them, but I don't necessarily want to see all their posts. If
Yeah,
they're
so you want to
or...
prop up your follower or whatever. I think that's dumb. If you wouldn't do that in real life, really. You just unfollow them. I unfollow people and I let them know I unfollowed them. I'm just like,
just gonna message you here and let you know I'm unfollowing you today. Just FYI.
Oh, this one's in a foreign language. I can't even read it. I'm trying to find another. I got off her account. I'm trying to just find.
Instagram reading with Jesse.
I need to find one good one.
Well, I have found a lot of value in the Instagram. But I know that when it comes to this, I have a bit more patience with people.
This is what I was talking about, is patience and impatience, and I can't make myself.
You can't make yourself.
I can't even imagine myself being patient in certain situations.
Yeah.
Like more patient.
Well, I think patience has a lot to do with
This girl.
how rested you feel.
I found someone.
Like you said, you get more patient the more rest you've had and more rejuvenation you receive on vacation and stuff like that. And then also it's a choice. I mean, there's times I know when you're feeling at the end of your rope and you still have to display patience for your kids or display patience for the people you're around. So take self-discipline.
Maybe I should search for like hashtag anti-vax.
What?
That should be fun. Hold on.
Oh my gosh.
For those that aren't aware, if you're anti-vaxxer, then you and I will not get along. Oh, that's kind of cool. So if you search for anti-vax in Instagram, it gives you an alert.
Oh, that's cool.
And it says, looking for
up.
vaccine information. When it comes to health, everyone wants reliable, up-to-date information. Centers for Disease Control has information that can help questions you may have about vaccines. And it says go to cdc.gov or see posts anyway.
That's cool.
That's hilarious. It says vaccine research, and there's a scientist working in a lab. And it says anti-vaccine mom research, and there's a woman on a toilet looking at her phone.
And the world is at your fingertips.
Well, anyway, so here's my point. I'm that crotchety old man that doesn't understand where the world's headed, and it concerns me greatly. And so you with your blog posts and, my point is I'm going to be impatient and ornery. And these people that write books under their posts, I just don't understand it.
Yeah.
Who reads that? Who do you think is sitting down to read?
There's a lot of people.
Your drivel.
There's a lot of people that do. Yeah, it's amazing. But people are looking for hope. People are looking for connection and hope, and they're at home alone, and they're connecting with people.
Oh, I just thought of someone.
Oh my God, you're too funny. So it doesn't mean, and you have a choice, right? You have a choice on how far in you go and how far you dip your toe in. And so, oh my gosh. Yeah, you have a choice. And there are people, though, I'll tell you, like depression, loneliness, like they're real. And so I think that's where you have to find the balance of making sure that you show up in your real life, but then understanding that a lot of people are looking for a connection and finding it online. And if that helps them get out of a hole, I am okay with that. So there are people who write books on the Instagram and people that read it. They do. There's people with hundreds of thousands of followers, millions of followers who write long ass posts every day and they get read. They're telling the story, which I know has always been hard for you to do too. Like I have to drag it out of you, but the story is what connects a human to another, and people love it. So Instagram is like a story platform. Is how I view it. It's not a story
though. That's my whole point. It's not a story. It's a self-aggrandizing caption.
Not everybody uses it like that though.
It's just a self-aggrandizing caption on a self-aggrandizing photo.
Well, so maybe for certain people.
I would say that's a majority of posts.
I think maybe you're just following the wrong people. I believe in showing people my journey, not just the highlights. So when I'm feeling like crap, I talk about it. I don't say in detail. I think I have a good fine line between what I choose to share and what I don't. And I want to show the journey. And by sharing the journey, I've connected with people from all over the world. Like, I love it. But that's how I choose to use it. And there are people who use it in ways that I don't like. So I understand what you're saying. It's just not how I choose to use it.
We'll end on this story. This is just funny. So I've taught classes on Snapchat before.
Oh yeah,
for the office.
That's a good one.
And so this girl's Instagram that I just read from, she had a Snapchat as well. And
okay,
I was watching her Snapchat one day.
That was her Instagram?
Yeah, I was watching this girl's Snapchat one day, and in her Snap story, she had a video of her urinating.
Oh God! See, this is not something I would do.
Not a graphic photo.
No, but just happening. Yeah.
There were no genitalia in the photo.
Okay.
But there was the bare legs, the pants dropped on the floor, the ceramic rim of the toilet.
So you know what's happening.
And the sound.
Yeah.
And I couldn't believe it, so I screenshotted it
in Snapchat.
And then instant regret, instant remorse, because Snapchat alerts the user and tells you who screenshotted it.
Yeah.
So now
she knows.
She knows me as this like professional real estate dude who goes around and teach classes, right? And here my name is next to screenshotting her urination clip. Oh, I've never been more embarrassed in my life. And I was like, oh, crap. And I told you, and I came in, and I'm like, what do I do? And I ended up having to direct message her and say, I'm so sorry. I am teaching a class on Snapchat, and I wanted to use this as an example of, like, what people will post.
Yeah, yeah.
And she was, to be fair, she was pretty fair with me, because she could have just, like, Me Too'd me as a creeper and whatever. But she's like, oh, great. Do you want me to call in? Like, do you want me to lead the class? Do you want me to teach the class? Like, I can do it. Should I fly up there? Should I do this? And I'm just like, oh, my God. I dodged a bullet there.
Yeah.
But in that moment, I couldn't believe
The things that people
she
put
would
on
put
there.
herself urinating on her story.
You will not find that
And I
of me.
screen grabbed it, and I became
A fan for life.
Harvey Weinstein in that moment. So, well, you know what? Random episode.
Yeah.
We like random.
We do.
I do want to say I'm gonna I think I should probably like curate. Like I'll do Instagram reading.
I think it would be fantastic. We'll find the posts ahead of time and find really interesting or funny ones to share.
And then you should choose a voice for me to read it in.
Mm-hmm. I love it.
Like Gary
there's
Clark,
some hysterical shit. Gary John Bishop.
Gary John Bishop. It's up to you, isn't it?
Always back
As
to the
I
old
see the
trusty.
sun pot today over the Scottish glen.
Either that or Moments with Mo or Manners with Mo. I like that one too. That voice.
Manners with Margaret.
Yeah.
That one.
That would be an excellent one.
Oh, I should.
Yeah, I love that idea.
I could read one of your posts in that voice.
You could. Save it for next time.
Hey, did you know I texted your mom this week?
No. What'd you say?
I told your mom and your dad that he should watch Medical Police on Netflix.
Oh, I told them that after we talked about it.
Oh.
And she said they'd actually seen a couple episodes.
And they weren't sure. They go, it seems kind of campy. And I go, kind of. It's super campy. It's like airplane or Super Ball. What was that called? Super Balls?
I'll have to check it out.
Or Naked Gun, where the jokes are like every second, like corny and punny and all that stuff.
Seems like right up their alley.
We watched it on vacation, and Jill loves that stuff.
Yeah.
And it was pretty good. And I thought your dad would enjoy it.
Yeah.
So I thought I reached out. I honored the feeling. I honored the feeling.
Wow, you honored the feeling.
I felt the universe speak to me in that moment, and I was like,
Oh my God.
I should totally honor this feeling
I'm
right
so
now.
proud of you.
And I should text Mary and be
Yeah.
like, I want to share this with you. The universe wants me to share this with you. And so I shared it, and it was yeah. And she's like, be you. And I was like, yeah. And I'm like, so the universe is really speaking to me right now. So I'm just really trying to listen, really trying to act on it.
Oh my God. Was that the Mexico air?
So we go do vision boards now, or what?
Yeah, it's vision board time. We're going to have to really pull out the whiskey for this.
This is me not drinking. It's sobriety's open up a new part of my
a whole
brain.
new brain, yeah.
Yeah, and it's like a corridor I haven't gone down before. And it's exciting and dark and mysterious. Hashtag find yourself.
Oh my
Hashtag
God.
dark corridor of life.
You guys, he's on a whole new level now. This is a
Hashtag
whole new...
Be you. Hashtag block photos.
I can't wait to see what you post this weekend
What I post?
Uh-huh.
Where?
on your Instagram.
You know how often I post on Instagram?
Something's going to come out.
Every 3 months. In fact, I meant to post while I was in...
You posted once about Mexico.
I did. I posted one photo. That was a pretty good one.
It's a beautiful
I like
one.
it to make sure it's a relevant
You like to
photo.
curate it. Yeah, you curate it.
Mine are concerts and trips, but I don't go trips. I'm in Turkey today. It's not it's Turkey today on a consortium of real estate agents curious about the impact of social media in our society today. I'll be speaking at 3 p.m. I'm going to have a fan meetup afterward.
Now you're just making fun of me.
Hashtag fan meetup. Hashtag turkey is lit. Hashtag get your turkey
You know
on.
what? I haven't officially asked you yet, but I think you need to take over my Instagram and just do that for a day.
I'll just be different characters.
Yeah, turkey is lit.
Hashtag turkey is lit. Hashtag my thumbs hurt. Hashtag my hashtag button doesn't work anymore either. Hashtag what's the substitute for hashtag?
Oh, shit. Oh, God.
It's gonna be. It's gonna.
My face
Hey,
hurts.
there's gold in this podcast. You just gotta wait
Yeah, just wait.
till the very end for it. All right, that's enough.
Enough ASMR.
Pity the
whiskey.
fool who has to listen to all of this nonsense.
It was entertaining. This was a good one. As I say.
This was a good one. That is
Time for lunch.
I need to do manners with Margaret. I do need to do a takeover where I can do manners with Margaret and just act that whole thing out again.
I think I would probably pee my pants. It'd be so funny.
I need a wig,
Oh my God.
red lipstick.
People would
like
die.
Bright red lipstick.
Bright red. People
Some
would
close-ups
die.
of my eyeball. The raised eyebrow. Thoughts on dating. Today, I almost went on a date. Today, I contemplated dating.
Oh God, real life.
Today, I shared my location with a friend because I was going on a date.
That is hashtag real life.
Hashtag real life.
Real life.
Hashtag is he a stalker? Hashtag does he know where I live?
Oh God. We better sign off.
I've tried 3 times.
All right. Thank you guys for this ASMR episode.
Do you want to go for a walk in Seattle? Next time, come with me.
Oh my God.
I'll invite you in a post.
Oh my God, my voice.
Could
my
be
face
days
hurts
before
so
you
bad.
see it, but I'm here now. I'm here now. And if you go later, I'll miss you.
All right, officially signing off. I'm gonna go quiet our mics.
Peace out, everybody.